were negotiating for land, our land. And that conservative, MacDonald, he wanted a railroad. Nothing's changed in 107 years. We're still negotiating for the same land.
Harry Daniels, talented, intelligent, outspoken, and a dynamic leader. He stood up for a nation to become a champion for the Metis.
He was just a true Métis and believed in everything that he talked of, he believed in it. Like there's no beating around the bush with him. And when he fought for something, he fought for it, and normally won.
Harry Daniels' involvement in Aboriginal politics is impressive. He played a leadership role with the Native Council of Canada and was past president of the Congress of Aboriginal Peoples and served as advisor on numerous commissions and boards from Ontario to British Columbia.
I think Harry was as involved in Alberta as probably any other province. I believe he actually sat on our board at the Metis Nation of Alberta for a short period of time, and also worked collectively with our leaders at the time that they were working on securing the land within Alberta, the Metis settlement land.
Harry Daniels was a team player. He knew he couldn't do it alone. Following the United Nations Habitat Conference in Vancouver in 1976, where Harry Daniels and others attended on behalf of the Native Council of Canada. Harry Daniels delivered a fiery speech to listeners at Back to Batoche Days that summer, urging the Métis to take a stand on the issue of land.
If we don't fight for land now, we are never going to have anything to sit on. We can come to Batoche. This will become a national shrine. Won't it be nice? We can all leave Skid Row and come here to our national shrine. That's what we'll be doing. Because once our people in the north, where a lot of you are from, are squatters. Remember that. In the eyes of the government, you're squatters. Or you may have a lease. They control the leases. They can, at any time that they feel like, abolish that lease and say, we have a plan for this.
Harry dedicated his life defending and promoting the interests of the Métis people. He worked with First Nations and Inuit as well, whomever would listen.
I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that before Harry Daniels came on the scene, relations between the national news media, particularly here in Ottawa, and Canada's Aboriginal peoples were almost non-existent. We just didn't know each other, and what little bit of exposure we had wasn't necessarily all that positive. Harry Daniels almost single-handedly changed all of that. He came here, he met with people, he spent time with them, he educated us.
Why is it so hard, and what do you need to hear?
But it didn't deal substantively with what the RCAP submission was a report was all about. Yeah. All it did was narrowly focus in. They're characterizing it as a response to RCAP. It is not a response to RCAP. No, the Royal Commission of Aboriginal People. They did not deal with Section 9124.
Right. Sorry, we don't know what those things are.
Well, Section 9124 is in the Constitution Act of 1867, where the federal government has responsibility for Indians and land reserved for Indians. The 1939 Inri Eskimo case brought Inuit under that. The Métis people are left out of that, and so are Indians who did not sign treaty. The 1982 Act says that the Aboriginal peoples of Canada are Indians and Inuit and Métis. The two acts are not consistent. They didn't deal with that.
Harry Daniels was involved in the Aboriginal rights movement not just within the Métis community and the movement within Canada, but also on the international scene. He attended meetings with the World Council of Indigenous Peoples, the United Nations, traveling to meetings in Australia, New Zealand, Switzerland, and Central America.
Harry was actually quite instrumental as well in working in the international community. Again, in 1976 in Vancouver, we attended this Habitat Conference, and again, Harry spoke there addressing the people in terms of the issues faced by the Aboriginal peoples of Canada and the Métis Nation, but also was able to converse with Indian leaders from South and Central America. He saw, I suppose, a vision that was not just, the Métis Nation on its own. He saw that the Métis Nation was part of a community, an Indigenous community around the world, and he participated in those other, with those other communities as well.
His contribution to international rights issues for Indigenous peoples is part of his legacy.
I believe Harry knew that it was very, very important that our story got out. And he was a very articulate spokesperson and took that story forward.
And that's exactly what he did during the constitutional talks in the 1970s and 80s. Harry Daniels and a team of representatives took forward the issues of the Aboriginal people, took forward the determination to ensure that the Métis were fully included, and headed off to Ottawa to see what could be won.
What we are talking about is the equality of people here. And to use your phrase, we're talking about a just society. It can't be just for some Aboriginal people and not for others.
Harry Daniels played a leadership role in the recognition of existing rights of all Aboriginal peoples in the Canadian Constitution.
Together with the representatives of the Indian and Inuit peoples, we agreed that the word Métis would be recognized in the Constitution as Aboriginal peoples. Mr. Chairman, I'm a Métis from Regina Beach, Saskatchewan, who is proud of his Aboriginality and who believes that every person of Native ancestry, from whatever Indian stock and from whatever corner of this great country, has a special place in the Constitution in Section 35.
Despite resistance from the federal government, Harry's determination would pay off.
He was going to get Métis in the Constitution, come hell or high water, one way or another. And he was the right man at the right time. There's no doubt about it.
Behind the scenes, Métis people from across the homeland worked the political leaders, the premiers, and their staff to bring this historic moment to fruition. Everyone called in their political favors, investing their political capital in this single opportunity. Constitutional advisor John Weinstein recalls as Harry did his part and unleashed his magic in what became a pivotal moment in Canadian history.
Harry worked the room. We were appearing before the special joint committee of the Senate and the House of Commons on patriation. Harry worked the room, the Conservatives, the NDP, some sympathetic Liberals like Warren Almond. And as this was going on, Chrétien just stumbled up. In fact, I was the only one just sitting there watching it all. All the others in our delegation were working the room. Chrétien stumbled up. He said, okay, call Harry off. We'll put Métis in the Constitution.
Harry, through his, his political maneuvering and knowing when to hold and when to fold, ensured that, Métis were included in the Constitution. So that was a great and major feat, on his part. And it's a legacy that will be there forever. And I think all Métis have to be thankful to Harry Daniels for accomplishing that.
He is, in fact, the leader who brought us into the Constitution in 1982, and you should always remember that, no different than Riel did in 1885. After he left us, he left behind a legacy, and Harry now has left us, and hopefully his legacy will live on.
Harry Daniels has left an indelible mark in the history of the Métis Nation and in the history of Canada. And thank God he was there at the time. We needed him.
In the eyes of many, Harry Daniels was a statesman and visionary. Harry Daniels seemed comfortable no matter what his surroundings, no matter who he was talking with, no matter where he was. In the local, national, or international arena, he left an impression.
He was at ease at meetings at the community level, as much so as he was when he was meeting with first ministers or with the prime minister. So the audience didn't matter. He had a message, and he gave that message. And I think that's one of the things that I think people need to know.
But Harry's accomplishments didn't stop there. He's also credited by some with organizing the Métis in the Northwest Territories. And through his words of encouragement, he would bring out in people their confidence and their courage.
He was one of the guys that would listen to students and would just paint a picture of the Métis from A to Z and just inspire people to continue to do what they wanted to do. And right up till his final days, he was just an incredible inspiration to people of my age.
Over the years, Harry acquired many nicknames, such as the obvious one, Harry the Hat, because of that large black Stetson. But it wasn't all business with Harry. Colorful, flamboyant, he knew how to work a room and stand out from a crowd. For Harry, it was also about drama.
We were waiting for the Congress of Aboriginal People to show up, and of course Harry is the president at the time, and then you know, the camera, there's little cameras everywhere there, and then all of a sudden you could hear the echoing of a noise coming down the hall. You could hear cameras all running out, and you could hear the flashing and the noise, and we were wondering what's going on. And all of a sudden, in comes Harry, and all dressed in purple, and purple cap and rings, and with a cane on it. And he gives you a wink, you know, and that's Harry, flamboyant, and always having the ability to catch the camera's attention.
The first sash that I ever had was from Harry. I believe it was 1976. I went to visit him at his office in Ottawa, and he, you know, pulls out this nice sash, ties it on me, and tied it on me in a way that people don't tie their sashes anymore. It's you know, you wrap it around your body and you tie it in the front. And so that's how I've always tied my sashes since. I've never tied it in any other way. And it gives me comfort to know that in all the old photographs you see the Métis with the sashes tied in the front. So if one thing I learned from Harry, it's, you know, how to tie a sash.
And Harry also enjoyed kicking up his heels.
He totally enjoyed life. He just totally enjoyed it.
Harry loved reading, he loved going to movies, and he loved traveling. He loved a fine glass of wine and a good joke, and he loved writing and acting.
People loved him. He was the life of the party. He wasn't shy about anything. It was like, if the music got playing, he was up dancing, and he was fun. Just a fun kind of a person to be around.
Prior to his passing, Harry gathered enough strength to emerge from his hospital bed, to travel to the nation's capital to accept an honorary doctorate from the University of Ottawa. President of the Métis National Council, Clément Chautier, and Audrey Putras, Vice President and President of the Métis Nation of Alberta, awarded Harry Daniels with the Order of the Métis Nation, one of 4 awards by the Métis Nation in recognition of personal contribution to the advancement of Métis rights. His daughter Chantal accepted the prestigious award on his behalf. Harry Daniels was 63 years old when he died September 6, 2004, following a brief struggle with cancer, 10 days before his birthday. Letters of condolence flowed in from across the country, from throughout the Métis Nation, to the Governor General Adrian Clarkson, to the office of the Prime Minister.
Well, it's just hard to believe that he did so much and left so young, because he wasn't finished. You know, he still had lots more that he wanted to do.
I'm certainly sorry to see that he's gone. I wish he was still around, because there's so much yet to be done. But others will just carry on, persevere.
And now the next step is up to us as leaders to follow through with the dream that Harry had, is that we'll hopefully find a rightful place in society in Canada one day, that Métis will be treated equally and fairly as they treat everybody in this country, including all Aboriginals.
Everybody knows what Harry did, what he accomplished, and just remember him as the person that he was, and all the fighting he did for them, and not to forget it. Oh, he'll be missed terribly, terribly. Is and always will be.
Give them my regards.